Hello everyone, tonight I'm going to be going over why I think that we should have an Internet Bill of Rights. I think it's tremendously important. If we don't have an Internet Bill of Rights, there goes our voice and what we can say forever on the Internet. And I think that the Internet, it's like a tool, kind of like the radio, like our phones, and it could be very important to communicate with others around the world, with our friends and business circumstances and all kinds of different situations. If you're looking at that, if you're thinking about things, it could be very useful. An Internet Bill of Rights would basically solidify Americans' freedoms on the Internet. Therefore, they would be having all the freedoms that you have in the real world, but in a virtual sense online. The problem right now is there's no regulations and framework designed to ensure that there's not going to be anything forming sporadically against us, having all kinds of different rules in place that don't really make any sense. So you can have a rule, for instance, like hate speech. So some people, they agree with hate speech and actually think that that exists when it doesn't. And the majority of normal people, they know that hate speech doesn't exist. They know that that doesn't make any sense in America when we have the First Amendment. Plus, there's been innocent people that have been accused of doxing, that have been accused of all kinds of different things on the internet, and it doesn't add up because they didn't do that in the first place. But somehow, they end up accused, and automatically there's all kinds of repercussions for that they don't have any meaning to that because we don't have the same protections online like we do in the real world. It becomes quite a problem when you're trying to live in a functionable society.
Do you think, you talk to a lot of Republicans in Washington, do you think they understand the threat of woke capitalism, the alliance between the activist left and big business that is shutting down speech?
You know, I think they're starting to get it. I think they're starting to see it. I mean, that's why I've tried to utilize my platform. I did an op-ed in Real Clear Politics the other day because I see it from so many real Americans, just guys that are Second Amendment accounts, people that follow me, like my politics, whatever it is, and they're reaching out to me when I made a big deal of this, saying, wow, it's happening to me too, but I have a platform to actually do something about it. There are guys, Kevin McCarthy's been pretty vocal about it, but the reality is that nothing has changed. I put up an Instagram post 2 weeks ago about the Smollett thing because, I had the gall to be a little bit cynical about the entire ridiculous situation that was laid out, and Instagram just deleted it. I sort of responded in my normal fashion, rather aggressively saying, what's wrong with this? Here's the problem, yada, yada. And I got inundated, Tucker. Hundreds of people sending me DMs. Don, my account was shut down because I tried liking one of your tweets, or I tried liking one of your father's Instagram posts that was like him and his grandchildren. Nothing even controversial. And time again, I've had to follow you, Don, 3 times in the last week because they keep unfollowing you. It's really sad, and it's happening. And the excuse that, well, it's spam-like behavior. No, spam-like behavior is not making Instagram unfollow people who want to follow my content and other conservatives.
So free speech doesn't mean anything if people can't hear you speak. And this alliance between the activist left and big corporations is preventing people from being heard. So it is, in effect, an attack on free speech. The media
100%.
benefits from our freedom of speech. They are the prime beneficiaries of the First Amendment, and yet they don't even cover it.
The internet, it should not be a place where there's monopolies controlling what people do, what they say, how they live their lives, how they are spreading messages that are almost like postcards in a way. When you're sharing an image of you on vacation, what really is that? It's like a virtual postcard. So there's all kinds of things that they're blocking you from. And I know that people want to scream all they want that they're private companies, when in fact that is not true. If you had a radio, and that's a form of technology, or the light bulb, I mean, you want to go way back if you want to be serious, and some people might be looking at me like, wow, you're crazy, Mikhail, what are you talking about? But no, it's called technology. I know that there's one person that invents it, but afterwards, it's the whole society that can benefit off of that new technology that you have. Just like the TV, you can't start doing all these wacky things when you start inventing new stuff into a new world. That is wrong. And it has a lot of bad stuff that will happen afterwards from trying to control these people.
The rules you have are not based in U.S. law, right? U.S. law doesn't recognize restrictions on hate speech. It's considered free speech. So if you want to stand on a street corner and yell the craziest things in the world, you're allowed to. on your platform, Twitter, you're not allowed to. So even in that sense alone, your rules do have an ideology behind them. I don't completely disagree. I think, I don't want harassment. But the reason I bring this up is getting into the discussion about democratic health of a nation. So I think it can't be disputed at this point that Twitter is extremely powerful in influencing elections. I'm pretty sure you guys published recently a bunch of tweets from foreign actors that were trying to meddle in elections. Mm-hmm. So even you as a company recognize that foreign entities are trying to manipulate people using this platform. Mm-hmm. So there's a few things I want to ask beyond this, but wouldn't it be important then to just, at a certain point, Twitter becomes so powerful in influencing elections and giving access to even the president's tweets that you should allow people to use the platform based under the norms of U.S. law? First Amendment, free speech, right to expression on the platform. This is becoming too much it's becoming too powerful in how our elections are taking place. So even if you are saying, well, hate speech is our rule and a lot of people agree with it, if at any point one person disagrees, there's still an American who has a right to this, to access to the public discourse, and you've essentially monopolized that, and not completely, but for the most part. So isn't there some responsibility on you to guarantee, at a certain extent, less regulation happen? Right? Like, look, if you recognize foreign governments are manipulating our elections, then shouldn't you guarantee the right to an American to access this platform to be involved in the electoral process?
I believe it's something that everyone has a right to.
Everyone has a right to, but you still ban people.
I feel like a lot of companies, they just want you to comply with their ideology, and they want to brainwash you into thinking how they want. I've seen stuff happen with diets online, controlling how people share that, sharing different holidays. I've had issues with that in the past, and oh my gosh, after talking about that, you cannot even believe what happened online, because I had a lot of crazy stuff happen to my views on one site and then another one, and just, weird stuff is happening online. We have to, at one point, we have to stand up for stuff like this. We have to talk about it. It needs to be brought to the discussion, brought to the table, and we need to figure out ideas how to make this better for everybody. The biggest problem that we have right now in our country would be creators and mainstream media just banking off of our system's failures, our government's failures, and not trying to take the time to make our country better, because everything that takes time, right? It's going to be a slow process, and they don't want to do that. They want everything at once. They want everything right away the next week, and they don't have any patience at all. So therefore, you have people that are just going to try to take the easy route and not try to work or do anything to make this country better. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all these lazy people that don't want to try to make it better, because they want to talk up and down all day about how they care about freedom of speech, how they care about our First Amendment, but yet again, whenever they start getting censored online for talking about this stuff, all of a sudden, oh no, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm going to start talking about left-leaning politics and totally go against what I'm saying and not stick to my true values. As somebody that does want to protect the First Amendment, it's really dishonest. Without control of our voices, we are absent. We are not there to be able to discuss how we feel about things, how we feel about the world and our politics, even space. I mean, anything, really. So when you start getting rid of that, and everything's going to be online. I mean, look at Amazon, for example. You have a lot of different shops that are going out of business, and then people are buying from Amazon. Don't you think it's going to be the same with kind of like everything else? I mean, people, they don't even talk anymore. Nobody calls each other. That's very rare. They're always texting, and pretty soon it's going to be more like social media, like barely even texting, and things change over time. So you have to make it adaptable to be able to talk properly. If you can't speak truth to somebody in your life, you're always having to hide something from them. And oh no, if you end up telling them the truth, they're going to freak out. I mean, that's somebody that's controlling you. They're manipulating you. Don't let someone else control what you do in life. It's your decisions, your outcomes, your life. If it was up to the people in America to vote for the Internet Bill of Rights, I don't doubt that no matter what, they would vote for that. They, of course, would want to have the same freedom online as they do in the real world. If you want something in life, you have to go after it. If you want something to change, You need to speak your mind. You can't stay silent. So what we need to do is we need to be more vocal on what we want. And then we can move forward with that, because if everybody is on the same page and the majority wants this, then this could be something that is very, very good for the future. Well, that's all I have for this video. I'm going to have another video coming very shortly. You can check out some of my other videos. There's a lot going on there, so I'll check you next time.